Hello and welcome everybody. We've got a live stream AMA. Joining us today on the call, we have some wonderful members from the Bolt team. We've got Donald, Tyler and Erica. My name is William and I'll just hand this over to each of us to say hello to everybody. My name is William Sayer. I'm the customer enablement lead here at Bolt, helping you guys get the most out of your prompting techniques and creating content so that you guys can really be successful. And super excited to have you here joining us for this AMA. We're going to do our best to answer some of your questions in the side panel. We've also got a bunch of questions that you've submitted to us beforehand, so we'll be going through some of those as well. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Donald. You can introduce yourself, say hello to everybody.
All right, so I'm Donald. I'm a marketing manager here at Bolt, and yeah, I'm here to help answer some questions and hopefully have a great time with you all.
I'm Erica. I'll go next. I'm a customer experience engineer with Bolt and happy to be helping on the call here and answering any of your questions.
And my name is Tyler. I'm also a customer experience engineer, so I work a lot with Erica. And yep, we're looking forward to it. I personally just got off a holiday break, so I'm really excited to get back into Bolt and back into working with. We've got an incredible community, an incredible team here.
Mm-hmm. Now, some of you are probably wondering, where's Kate? She normally hosts these live streams. She's in the process of moving her life across the country. So she's not absent permanently. She'll definitely be back. She's just sort of busy doing some real life stuff. So yeah, we'll be excited to welcome her back for the next live stream, I believe. So what we'll do is we can start off. If you want to introduce yourselves, feel free to say hello, say where you're calling in from. You should be able to leave some comments, whether you're tuning in from YouTube or somewhere else. Feel free to write in the comments what your name is, maybe your background and the project that you're working on. It'd be great to see some of the projects that you're building. So I'll give you a minute to do that. And then being an AMA, obviously we want to give the chance for you guys who are here watching live to ask any questions that you have about Bolt. So we're doing our best to increase the visibility, transparency between the team and you. So yeah, we'll prioritize the questions that are left in the comments and we'll do our best to answer them. And then we've also, that some of you may have seen on the newsletter that we sent out recently, basically saying that we were collecting questions. So we'll be answering those as well. All right, we see we got Jakey Jake Family TV. Hey all, I'm building the future with Bolt. That's super exciting. We'd love to hear what you're building. We got Tyler's replied. So yeah, if anybody in the comments have any questions about you know, anything about our roadmap, maybe some of the features that we're building out at the moment, or you know, try and keep them so that they're general questions that everybody can benefit from, rather than, you know, maybe project specific questions. But we'll do our best to answer all of them. So great, we can see. Let's put this one on the screen. So, hey, it's Ronok. Make Claude code real time with web app. Why after full builds complete? Good question. I mean, we do see the streaming, correct me if I'm wrong, but we do see the streaming of the thinking processes that the agent broadcasts. So that's in the chat. You can see all of the steps that it's building out while it's doing so. And then once it's implemented all of those code changes, after that is when you'll see it rebuilds your app and it publishes it. And then that's when you see all of the code changes being implemented. I believe the reason why we don't really show the code changes being implemented in real time is because, you know, sometimes we may implement some code here. We might need to implement some other code and then come back based on that and sort of change one of those initial files that was changed. So if Tyler or Donald, if you've got anything to add to that, feel free.
Yeah, I think the agent, oh, you can go ahead.
I was kind of just saying not necessarily, but maybe you know more than me, Donald.
Yeah, I think the agent is definitely rebuilding like when you save a file and then you perform like npm run build, it's gonna rebuild the app. So that's why you don't see the change in real time.
And I see a follow-up from, hey, it's Ronak. And if something like that does happen, then please feel free to reach out to our support team. So you can reach out to support@bolt.new if you do run into specific issues or errors like that. And ideally, copy the entire error message with the error code so that we can see behind the scenes what happened and we can stop that kind of thing from happening in the future. And if we do need to, give some courtesy tokens or something like that to make up for that error, then we can do that as well. That's actually a brand new tool that we have from our engineering team that lets us add tokens directly to your account.
Mm-hmm. It also matters kind of what prompt you're sending. If the prompt is a bit too complex and you're asking too much of the agent to go over at once, that could also kind of cause it to stop mid-cycle.
True.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes it's a bit of an art, more so than a science when it comes to choosing how much you actually ask for in your prompts. But the new Opus 4.5 has really been impressing a lot of people. So hopefully you get a chance to play out with that. Now I see we got another question from Moby Claw, 911 Claw. Thank you. From South Africa. Hello. Nice and summertime down there, I would guess. What can we expect from Bolt in the next 3 months? This is a fantastic question. I'll touch on a few that I'm really excited about. So first of all, we're putting a big focus on collaboration. So a lot of the times people may find that they can build their project to the 90% mark or maybe the 95% mark, but there's just a few things that maybe you're not experience within, and getting that over the line can be hard. So we're working on collaboration features where you're able to invite other people to your build out teams, real-time collaboration, things like this, so that you can securely build your product with other people and invite people in, and they can help you out with specific things that you need. And another one that we're really excited about is the visual editor that should be coming relatively soon. So instead of prompting the agent to make a copy change or to change a heading from H1 to H2, whatever it may be, we'll have a visual editor so you're able to directly do that and not use any tokens in doing so. Do we have anything else? I know we've got...
Yeah, we're going to improve some GitHub collaboration features.
GitHub org support.
Yeah. And also some database and integration improvements as well, like selecting a organization from Supabase versus another. I'm not sure of those release dates though.
Yeah, a couple improvements for the Figma import as well. So can't go too much into details there, but yeah, should see a nice improvement in the next 3 months for Figma import.
Yeah, I'm especially looking forward to the collaboration stuff, like just making it easier to manage a team and collaborate on projects, making it a little bit more of a seamless process. So I think that'll be really helpful.
Okay, so from Formella Vision, good morning. My question would be, if you give a clear comparison to when to use Haiku, Sonnet, or Opus, since I'm mostly using Sonnet, it'd be great to know which can be which can be managed with the other two. Okay, fantastic question. Thanks for asking. So if we think to what a haiku is, a short poem, and an opus being a really long either piece of music or piece of writing, just think of it that way, that the haiku it uses a small amount of tokens. It's usually a faster model as well. So if you've got something that's really not asking too much of the agent, for example, changing the background color of the page to a different color, or changing the copy, or a simple visual tweak like that, that's when we'd recommend swapping over to Haiku, and it'll use potentially half, potentially a third of the tokens of something like Sonnet from what I've seen from our testing. And then on the other side of things, use Opus when you really want to do the heavy lifting. So say you're refactoring your code base, or you're implementing a really complex new feature and you're not really sure how it'll do so. Opus is the one to go to there. It does use usually more tokens, and so make sure you're paying for that premium experience. But if there's something that Sonnet isn't quite working, then that's when you can swap it over to Opus and use that higher compute.
I will say, you might be surprised at what Haiku can accomplish too, though. Like, instead of just visual edits, if it is like even just a simple feature addition, because you've already been going in the conversation, you're adding one thing at a time. And it's like, it would be nice if it also had this. I usually do just try Haiku on that. And if it can't do it, then I revert using the version history and then try Sonnet. But I've been pretty surprised at what Haiku can actually accomplish too.
Right. So if your client wants to design in Figma, you can use our Figma import feature. For now, you can only import like when you start the project, so you can import one frame. So it's basically one page, unless you have like all the website on the same frame. But we will be releasing some improvement for that, so you're going to be able to import multiple frame inside an existing project, basically. So it should come pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. And just FYI for Will and Donald, I don't think we can even, like, Erica and I can highlight comments, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
So in any manner, we can't highlight comments. So
Good to know.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on. We got another one from Jakey Jake. Correct me if we've already answered this. I cut out for a minute, but I think this is a new one, right? Build Swipe Jr. as debit card for kids, teen, and young adults with parental controls. Need some help with payments and card issuing. Interesting. Maybe a bit more clarity there, but I know maybe Stripe, the Stripe integration that we have is something that you can use. It's super easy to do. We'll be creating tutorials on that to put on our YouTube. So that's another resource that we'd love to direct you guys to. Coming back to that question we had before about Haiku and Opus, we have been putting more energy into some of the YouTube content that we've been putting out. I noticed somebody also made the comment that they really like the short videos. That's probably Jakob, one of our content creators. He does a fantastic job making YouTube videos and the shorts as well. So this is a knowledge base that we're actively working on improving. So you can always go there for resources.
It's a cool concept. A debit card for kids and teens and young adults with parental control. I like that.
That would have been troublesome for me.
I don't know what the implications are of creating your own system for issuing debit cards. That's an interesting concept, but so that's definitely going to take some research on your part to make sure that you understand what the legal implications are, the financial implications are, and what kind of, tools or APIs exist out there that may allow you to be able to do something like that. Like maybe there are certain banks or something like that are willing to do a partnership with you or something, because there's going to be some limitations that basically Bolt can't build that whole thing for you because it can't create debit cards.
We can't issue.
Stripe can't either.
We can help with payment processing.
But there's probably some kind of a connection that can be done through some APIs or something like that. It'll take some research.
Yeah, and if you need help with Stripe integration, we do have some documentation on that in our helpful docs. If you go to support.bolt.new and just type Stripe into the search field there, that'll lead you to the instructions on how to get that set up.
Amen.
Okay, we've got another one. Hey, it's Ronok again. I think you could add MCP support to Bolt. Will it happen? Also, maybe Bolt can ask some questions before proceeding to build, such as asking about preferences. Okay, really good point. We'll touch on this first one. So I'm not sure if you've seen some of the the Pika OS partnership that we've just announced late last year. So that was thanks to some of the hard work by Donald. If you look up pikaos.com, you should be able to learn all about them. There we go. They are bringing MCP very soon into their platform, and we have a direct connection with Pika. So you can use them. We're not, we don't have a.
Nope, we lost your audio.
Oh no, Will, come back.
You were saying we don't have a direct MCP connection.
Yes. Okay.
So you're back. Your audio's back.
All right. I'm back. Don't know what happened there.
We have the Pika OS connection, but it's not a direct MCP connection.
Yes, exactly. But Pika OS, they're bringing MCP connection very soon, and so you can use them, I guess, indirectly. Connect to Pika, and then you can sort of indirectly connect to an MCP through them. Maybe Donald, you can elaborate on that a little bit more if I'm missing anything.
Yeah, that's pretty correct. So you can connect pretty much, I think they have over 200 connections right now. So you can connect to other services. And once the connection is made with Bolt and Pika, you can interact with them seamlessly.
Which is obviously super exciting for all. We've all seen how MCP this year has kind of changed the space, and it's opened up a lot of potential. It often does add a lot of context in there as well. So sometimes it increases kind of some of the agent workload, but it's super powerful. And we've seen how powerful some of these MCP connections can be. So that's really exciting to see you thinking about that. And then to come back to the second part of the question, that's where plan mode comes in really handy. So make sure that, if you're not sure about how to build out a feature, it's often good to change into plan mode. You can discuss it with the agent, and it'll often come back with clarifying questions. And so a lot of the times they may ask you questions that you haven't even thought about before. It's like, would you like to optimistically show this UI? And you're like, oh, what does that mean? And you can go research that and then figure out the answer. Or what if the user goes offline? Would you like to still save this on local storage? Or it can ask a lot of these very thought-provoking, clarifying questions, which is especially if you're not sure about the architecture, how to build it out, or it's a feature you're not fully clear about, then that can be great to have that discussion with the agent, and it's got all of the context of your code base, which is much can often add a lot more clarity instead of going to another LLM.
Something that's nice too that was just recently added, I believe it's pushed and it's live, that if you click the plus icon on that first chat, like before you even create the project, and you select the database tab, then you can even set like which database on your own Supabase account you're going to want this to be connected to, so it doesn't proceed to make a Bolt database. And if you use plan mode even on that first prompt, you should be able to just kind of work things out. And we're just trying to make sure that you can get it kind of right the first time, so there are some steps that you can take to help you to get going in the right direction in that first prompt.
Got a fun one here from Martin asking if we're still up. It depends where in the world you are, right? Yeah. A lot of us are based in America. I assume we're coming from Europe or somewhere else.
The question is, Martin, why are you still up? It's only 1:20 p.m. here locally for me.
That's good. Yeah.
And thanks for the shout out, Martin. We appreciate that you appreciate what we've done in 2025. And there's a lot more to come this year.
An iOS app in the works. This is a good question. Donald, do you have any visibility on this?
It's not in the work right now, but we've been considering it. So I don't think there's any ETA on that, unfortunately. But
yeah, the only way maybe, if they could export it and import it somehow into Bolt, the project itself.
Yeah, Google AI Studio. I wonder, I'm not familiar with how they deliver the project, if you have access to the code or anything like that. So if you have access to the code, you can definitely import it into Bolt.
or like
Yes.
throw it into
Sorry.
GitHub and import it that way. Connect it to GitHub.
Yeah, to me, that's the most ideal way to do it is if you put it on GitHub first and then you just use the GitHub import. If you try to import folders directly into Bolt, it doesn't really let you. It wants you to do one file at a time, but you can do more than one file at a time through StackBlitz. Is that correct, Donald? If you like
Yeah.
just StackBlitz, Bolt, same company, same login.
Login.
You have both. If you have one, you have both. So if you go to stackblitz.com and you log in with your same account, it's basically like Bolt but without AI. It's just an IDE that you can code online, and so you can create a new project. Just use any of the templates there. Then you can just delete the files in there and then drag in your Google AI Studio folder with all of the files. Drag that into the project. And then you just click the open in bolt.new button. And then you've got your project open in bolt.new with all the files. And that's one way to do it, or just do the GitHub import.
Mm-hmm. This is just assuming you have access to the code from Google AI Studio. I've never actually worked with that, so.
That's a good point. I don't. I will ask this though, Donald. Wasn't there someone who was working at least on like a better mobile version of Bolt, even if it's still just in the web browser? I thought I saw some stuff about that a while back.
Yes, I think it's still in the works because we use web containers, so
Yeah.
this have to render on device, and we have some limitation with Safari. So I think if you are on Android, it should work. But yeah, we have some issues with iOS for now.
Yeah, it does generally work on mobile device. I think it's a little slower sometimes for me, but I've gotten it working several times, and I've done some work on my phone.
And then some of you are probably wondering, so if you bring a project in from GitHub and we bring that into Bolt, what happens to your database? And now, fortunately, some of you may know, you've noticed the migration files. So if you look at the file structure and you open up the Superbase folder, it'll have a bunch of SQL migrations. And so that's basically a whole bunch of files that have documented all of the changes that you've made to your database. And because these have all been saved, what you can do is once you've brought a project in from GitHub, say it comes across from Google AI Studio, if that also made some of those migration files, you can bring those into Bolt and you can prompt it, hey, look through all of the migration files we have and use those to structure the Bolt database schema so it matches and it supports the project.
Yeah.
Another one from Jake. Can we consider making debugging free? It takes a lot of tokens to fix stuff. So I guess two things to touch on here. One is we pay for credits when we're debugging. So we can't really make them free for you guys. You're probably saying, but hey, if it didn't work, then that's on us. But if you look at pretty much any, AI coding tool like us around, we're all paying for credits. And we even, if you go into ChatGPT and you generate a result and it's not right, like you're still it's been using the inference to create that response. So we're paying for it. So that's why we pass it on. And to I guess, the positive side is that the models are getting better and better. So once we saw us, move to the Claude agent instead of our Bolt V1 agent, we're getting a lot less errors. And we expect this trend to just get better and better as the models get better and better. So hopefully those errors don't cost you as much going forward. Prompting correctly also has a really big benefit here. We've got a lot of resources when it comes to prompting correctly. So make sure to use those, read through our docs. We've got a few videos as well.
Yeah, plan mode can also come in handy when debugging as well. Personally, I love dragging a screenshot of the error I see in Bolt and attaching it to the chat and kind of giving it some context there as what's going wrong and what I'm expecting. That's really helpful with debugging projects that I've seen personally.
I will say this, there is actually a studied phenomenon that happens where it's if something becomes more efficient, people use it more or push it further so that it ends up countering the efficiency. And I think that's actually happening with Bolt and with AI coding tools, because like Bolt is getting better. It's getting more powerful. We now can, it's just like, you just ask Bolt to build a database and boom, it's building a database for you. You don't even have to go set up a Supabase account or anything. And so because of that, what we're seeing in the CX support, like we're handling so many tickets and we get to see how this evolves over time. People are making more complex stuff. So even though the AI coding tools are getting better, you guys are making more complicated stuff.
Push it to the limit.
To the limits, which makes sense, as you should do. And so I honestly don't see, I don't see debugging ever going away for AI coding tools. I think that that's going to be something that if you plan to build something that is life-changing or industry changing or whatever, that means you're at the forefront of it and you kind of have to be the one to take hold of it and take the helm. And you are going to run into issues. You're going to run into some coding situations or API situations. You'll need to do a bit of research here and there, but that's what makes your app special. Because if anyone could just build it in one prompt, then is anyone going to pay you for your version? You know what I mean? So keep pushing it to the limit, but use some of these tips like these guys said. I like to tell Bolt, add debug logging. And then once it adds debug logging, I go and test it. I go into the browser console where the debug logs show, and I copy those back into Bolt, and that gives Bolt more information so it can figure out, oh, now I see exactly what happened, and I can fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if that was a complicated answer.
That's great, Tyler. With more power, more responsibility.
I'm too passionate about AI coding sometimes. That's why I joined Bolt in the first place.
We've got a fun one here, a little bit more on the complicated side. If I have a main build that I've deployed to a client, and then 3 months down the line, I have an additional 5 clients wanting the same build, but with their own white label, how would I deploy updates to all? So I'm sure we've all got ideas on this. I'll touch on one idea first, and then I'll open it up to everyone else. But coming back to the Pika integration that we were talking about, they have this fantastic tool called AuthKit. And so basically, an example of like a Pika integration that you could do is you could give it access to your Gmail, right? And so whenever a client signs up for a service, then you directly send them an email from the user's Gmail. Using AuthKit basically enables any user to sign up onto your Bolt app, and then they connect their Gmail to it. So I imagine whatever these services would be, whatever integrations these clients want, you can build the app once and then connect AuthKit so all of your users can come in, sign up there, connect their own integration. So Gmail or whatever it may be, it could be Notion. They could connect HubSpot. There's so many out there that Pika has integrated already. And then you could use that one deployment that all of your clients can use.
You just have to, if I'm not mistaken about this implementation you're talking about, you just have to make sure that Bolt understands that the way that your project's database is going to be used is only going to show the proper data to each subdivision that's using the same project, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah, I think I would maybe have a different take on this. I've been owning an agency for 10 years, so the way I would do it would be to make it a SaaS. So you would turn the main app into a SaaS and have each client have their own instance. So you can just update the main app and each client can just log in into their own app, but it's basically just the same app. So if you want to update only one app and have the updates.
So it's like adding a whole extra layer to your product at the top of your project.
Depending on the app, can be complicated, but if it's not too far, you say it's 3 months down the line, so I think you can definitely make that turn still.
Great idea. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Great. Thank you for the feedback. Motivational. We'll keep working on them. That's for sure. Next one. I So another one, visual editor sounds great. Will it be able to change any text or UI manually without using tokens? Yes. So that's the idea. You can click on a heading. You can click on some copy. I don't know the full extent of what you can do, but if you've used visual editors before, it's based on kind of what you're expecting. I believe you can change like elements from one header to another potentially. But yeah, text editing, things like that. And I believe it's coming relatively soon. So is there anything I've missed out on that one?
For the time being, you still kind of can do it anyway. If you hit the code section, so it's the two little brackets above your project. Obviously, be careful when you're editing code in your project, but I just use the search bar. I search the exact title that I want to change, and it finds it in the code, and I just change it there, and then you hit save. And obviously, you only want to edit the actual title itself. Don't edit any of the other code if you're not good at coding and know what you're doing. But you can usually identify the title pretty easily, or other little things like that.
I will say though, with manual changes in the code like that, if you decide to use version history to go back to or revert to a different version, that will not be kind of tracked in that version history. So if you make manual edits, those aren't tracked in the version history there with Bolt.
Good point.
UI building partners improved a lot. Okay, let's see what else we have in here.
Thumbs up.
Okay, I just accidentally clicked on the wrong one. Okay, here we go. Templates. I know it's a great idea. It's in the works. Maybe Donald can give an update of where we stand with templates at the moment.
Yeah, I don't have an ETA, but I can say that it's definitely being worked on as we speak. So yeah, I don't have the full spectrum of how it's going to work, but we definitely want to bring templates.
And there's a lot of great resources out there. If you find someone on GitHub and they share their public repo, then you can clone that and then bring that in.
True. There are a lot of good templates out there. Just do your research. Make sure it's not malicious.
Malicious.
Yeah. MySQL database. Anybody know about this?
I mean, like, is that like a desktop database that you would have, like a self-served? I think Supabase uses Postgre, right? I mean, I don't know a great answer for this, but if you want more like granular direct integration with Supabase, you can connect your own Supabase to a project. I'm not sure about MySQL database.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, if you have your database at least live, and you've got the environment variables, right? Then you could put the environment variables in your .env, and you would still be able to have access to the database through your preview, like through the Bolt preview. Bolt wouldn't be able to edit the database for you. That's what we have the Supabase integration for. But it could write, I don't know, SQL queries and stuff for you that you could probably still use. But yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else that would help with that, but I think that's pretty much it.
That kind of comes with some caveats though, like not being connected to a Bolt database or Supabase, like a cloud hosted database.
It does, yeah. You've got to keep your
file,
whatever server it is that you're running live whenever it needs to be available. And I'm assuming that this person knows how that generally works. But yeah, another thing to keep in mind that I was going to say is that because Bolt only has so much like memory of your conversation, sometimes if you don't have Supabase connected or your own, like if you don't have a Bolt database or a Supabase database connected directly to the project, it will assume that you want one if you're talking about a database. And so it'll create one. So what I usually recommend people do is go into settings knowledge on the Bolt project. If you're using any other external database, you don't want a Bolt database, go to settings, knowledge, and put something in there saying, I do not want a Bolt database in this project. I use such and such database externally. Because then that just lets Bolt know on every prompt, don't make a Bolt database, you know?
Yeah, if any prompt like suggests a database change or an update, then Bolt is kind of trained to do that for you. So there are some caveats with trying to connect an external database that's not cloud hosted with Bolt. So we kind of recommend members to use Supabase or the Bolt database for Bolt
Yeah,
projects.
if you use Bolt, it's included, you know, Bolt database is included. You don't have to pay extra. As long as you've got a paid subscription, then you can have as many databases as you want on as many projects as you want. So it's really helpful.
I just did a quick chat with Gemini, and I asked if we could connect my SQL, and it came up with a 3-step process how to do so. So don't know if you've already tried looking at that, but it does seem like, you know, I think you need to install the package and then you add your env variables in it. So maybe that'll be helpful to you.
That'd be cool.
I lost track. Where are we?
Okay. Once I had a hard time changing the base code language of a project, any suggestions how to guide Bolt through the process? Probably start off with project knowledge. I know it'll often say create a React project in there from my understanding. We do have like a default project knowledge that's created when you start your project. Obviously, you know, you want to do this early on in the project rather than later, because it's much easier to establish this from the start and get these patterns right. But yeah, if you want to go to React Native, that's something you can do. Maybe there are some other languages that other people have tried out, but yeah, another good consideration is that you know, the training data that has been used to train the Claude agent. So there's a lot of, you know, React code that's out there, which is why it's so good at writing in React. But if you were to change to something else, then maybe the training data isn't quite as broad. So that's something to consider as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a difficult task depending on how big your project is. So if you're early on, you might consider restarting, and you'd be surprised how quickly you can rebuild. You'd be absolutely astounded how quickly you can rebuild something. Because if you're building something iteratively, step by step, and you're having to think about what you want and need, and you're fixing it up, and then it's getting to where you want it, versus now you know how you want it and you just start it over. It's only a few steps in a lot of cases to just get back to the exact same step in that process, because you've already done all the hard thinking and figuring out things. So that's something to consider too.
Yeah, and keep in mind that Bolt's kind of focused to work with JavaScript-based web technologies. So any JavaScript framework and Node.js backend, that's really what we can support at this time. Not sure what language you're trying to use, but.
Amen.
Yeah, you can also ask the agent to maybe create an extensive documentation of your existing project, so you can use that as a quick start for your new project, like explaining the structure and everything. And then you can just pass that to the new project with the language that you would like to use.
Great idea. Thanks, Bolt.
Thanks, Akash, for this question. Yeah, we don't have direct integrations with popular UI libraries, but you can install them. So we've got videos showing you how to do that on our YouTube. And yeah, that's a fantastic way to leverage some of the previous work that's already been out there. You know, it's great for accessibility. It reduces the reliance on your agent, reduces your token count when you're, you know, bringing components in rather than building yourself. So yeah, that's a great one to keep in mind. But yeah, we've got content on that on our YouTube showing you how to do that. Thanks, some nice feedback from Martin. You know, it's not just a job, it's a hobby. I love you guys. We love you too. Thanks for joining us. Martin also said you can export Google AI Studio code. So there you go. Bring that into your GitHub, and then you can bring it back. And remember, if it is like a database thing, try and get those migration files as well. Okay, seen us on IG, which is great. Yep, we've been putting some focus there. Got some other feedback for fixing stuff. Use Haiku, and for building features, use Opus. Copy and paste. Here we go. Copying and pasting the error works best for me. Okay, let's see what we got here. I joined late. Apologies. It's been asked, how can I set up and use a dev database with Bolt? I'm nearly live. I've only been using one database for dev and production, and it's too much of a risk. Yes, so this is a common, I guess, thing that we're noticing, that having a really clear solution here is important. From my understanding at the moment, the best way around this is bringing the database into Superbase, or claiming it to Superbase, and then upgrading to the Superbase Pro account, from where you can branch. So you can use a branch almost as kind of your development database, and that's maybe where you can test different things out. So that's something that we're actively wanting to make some clear content on, because we know that's such an important process, and we want to get really clear on that process for you guys. Maybe Tyler or Donald, is there anything else to add in there?
That seems to be the right way to go.
That's the best way. Branching, like native branching, is on the roadmap, but there's no ETA yet. So eventually you should be able to do it inside of Bolt directly.
So the free Superbase accounts, they don't have the access to create branches of databases. Okay.
No. And I think it's a fee on top of the Pro account even. So.
Okay.
Oh, really? I haven't used it yet.
I know free accounts, I think, come with 2 free databases, but I don't know how much. It sounds like the paid plans allow you to have your dev and production databases. So
it's exciting that you're close to shipping. Love to hear that. But yeah, hopefully that answers the question. I know it's not included in the Bolt database just yet, but that's something that we're well aware of, that having that clear distinction between the two is important. So we don't want to mess up production data. What else do we have? Created a site centered on voice interaction without needing to connect to any outside source. Does Bolt have a natural sounding voice that can be implemented, or does it have to be connected? Good question.
I think you would have to use 11 Lab for this, so it would be an external source. Unfortunately, we don't do voice.
Erica's got a pretty good talking voice.
You can choose like an accent and stuff.
We have a direct API connection to Erica's voice.
It's fine. I'm Bolt.
She is the voice of Bolt.
Like, see a drop in subscriptions. The voice, it wasn't good enough for me.
I use 11 Labs. I love 11 Labs for stuff like this. They have so many integrations and APIs you can use for all kinds of different situations, and they have many, many different voices. So I just go shop around for different voices, and it's not that hard to set up either, the API with 11 Labs. So
yeah, I was looking into this when I was developing a mobile application, and I think I did find like a completely offline version. I think it was about 400 megabytes or so. So you know, if you wouldn't want your users to have to download 400 megabytes. So yeah, I think the best way to do it, as Tyler said, is probably through 11 Labs or Deep RAM or one of those connections. I see some creators on IG that make crazy good UI with Bolt. Yes, there's some pretty good ones out there. Opus has, you know, done some great jobs with some of the UIs recently, and you know, you can often prompt it to, you know, based on screenshots, which I'm sure a lot of you know. Also, you know, create something that's unique and, you know, not typical cookie cutter. That'll often generate great results.
I know it's annoying when people say it's all about the prompt, but it kind of really is all about the prompt. What you say, and the way you say it, the exact words that you use, that's all it has to go on, to try to figure out what you want. So the more specificity you have about what it is that you want to achieve and you want it to look like, you may need to learn what the right words are for web development to ask for the right thing. So just keep that in mind.
We do have that enhanced prompt feature as well. That's useful.
Can we connect to our self-hosted Supabase instead of the cloud?
In response to that previous question with MySQL, right? So, I mean, I guess you can tell Bolt to not create a database and have your env variables in your file. Just any changes to the database will have to be done manually, not through Bolt. So can I have, let me reread the question. I also have a self-hosted Supabase. I can integrate with that instead of cloud. I mean, really recommend people to use the cloud Supabase. That's going to work best with Bolt.
But Will, I think you were saying something that like there is some kind of a CLI or something for MySQL, something that you would install to the project.
Yeah, that's the answer that I got from Gemini. So it looks like there's a few that you can install directly. The most common one is MySQL2. Install the MySQL2 library and set up the database connection utility. That's kind of what I'm seeing Gemini say. So it's a good question. I guess we don't have a direct answer here, but with things that we don't know, often we can do some research and there might be some creative solutions you can find.
Yeah, Samarpreet Singh, I would probably recommend that you create a new project and just test this. Just see if you can get it, a new project and a new MySQL database, and see if you can get it working reliably with something simple. And then maybe you can try it on a more significant project.
Okay, big one. Excuse me. WhatsApp integration. Is this a thing? People seem to monitor their WhatsApp more than their emails. Donald, I see you nodding your head.
Yeah, it is something you can integrate with Pika. Once again, I think though that you're going to need a WhatsApp business account, so it's not going to be a personal number. Maybe they have a way to connect to a personal number, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, you can definitely integrate with Pika.
And then I guess with the same answer applies here, Donald. Would you say connecting an email? I know you definitely can do it through Pika. I'm not sure if there's a simpler way directly in Bolt.
Yes, there's different ways to do it. You can use Pika. You can use whatever email provider you use directly, like Resend or like Postmark. There's a lot of them. Usually, most of them are pretty straightforward. You can just ask Bolt to connect to Resend, and it's going to ask you to input your API keys, and you should be done.
GitHub for branching. Yes. So once you connect your GitHub project in the top right, you can actually create the branch directly from within the Bolt interface. And then you can swap between different branches there. If you do want to make a pull request, you will have to jump back into GitHub to do so. And that's when you can see all the, the different code files. It's actually a really fun process for some of you who haven't touched GitHub before. It's a really great tool for your version history, and it's worth jumping in, creating a test branch, making a change on there, and then jumping over into GitHub and doing a pull request is basically merging all of those changes from one branch back into your main branch. And it's a fun process because you can see all of the code files that have been changed. It might say we've changed 5 different files, and then these are the lines of code that is added. These are the lines of code that's deleted. And then it'll basically say it's ready to merge, and you can pull it in together.
Yeah, I always if I'm working in Bolt, I always like to work in a test branch. You just click the little GitHub icon, and you can make a new branch right there. It's really nice within Bolt. And so I always work in a test branch because every time you code in Bolt, it's automatically pushing the changes. And then you just, go into go into GitHub and make the pull request. And if you're the only one working on it, like there's not going to be anything that you really even have to review. It'll just be like, all right, approve, go ahead.
Yeah. Something that I love about GitHub is it'll show your last 365 days of work that you've done in these little green boxes. So every time, if you do connect your GitHub to your Bolt, then basically every time you prompt the agent and you get a response back, it'll commit that into the project and it'll save that onto your GitHub profile. So you can then look back and it gives a heat map of your last 365 days. And then you can go back through the different years you've been on GitHub. And it's a really good way to track when you've been really active and when you haven't.
Like a real life engineer.
Yeah. So Superbase branching, they have resources. We don't really have too many Superbase resources that explain how to do this yet. I know once you go to the top, that's where there's like a connection box, and next to that, that's where you can control your branches. But they have a plenty of documentation. Fortunately, Superbase has grown so much over the last few years, and there's a huge amount of resources out there for that. Tally J AI, something for you, Erica.
Yeah. Ladies.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Thanks, Bing. I don't know what we'd do without you.
I'm the voice of Bolt. Duh. Anyone would do.
Please consider having a no-code backend. It's a cloud database provider, cost-effective, and you guys are awesome. Thank you for the shout-out. Please consider a no-code backend.
Is that like the specific
Airtable, maybe?
It's called no-code backend?
I actually don't know. That's a good question.
Kind of sounds like it. It's a cloud database provider.
Oh, well, cloud database, isn't that what Superbase does?
Yeah, but they're just saying like that we could consider having no code backend. So
I see.
I mean, we've got Donald here on the call, so consider it considered. We'll be looking into that. I don't know.
Now that I think about it more, we actually have that live now because Pika itself, they do have an Airtable integration. So if you were to use Airtable as your no-code backend, Airtable last year, they really did a deep dive into being an AI first company. So if you don't know how to create a database schema, you can go into Airtable. It has a chat interface. You can use that to describe the database that you want to create. And then using Pika, like we were touching on before, you can have a direct connection there. So that's one way that you could do this.
Cool.
Okay, how can we launch on the App Store? I'm creating a point of sale system for iPad with Bolt. Any tips for me? Yes, so our Expo integration. Do we know where we're at with that? And if anyone would like to touch on it?
I'm not a good one to answer this.
My understanding, I have not done this yet, by the way, but from my understanding is that once you build it with Expo, then like once you've built the project in Bolt with Expo, then just directly in the terminal, you run a certain command for each one. There's a certain command that you run for iOS, and there's a certain command that you run for Android because it's going to build it very differently so you can submit it to the iOS store or the App Store. And obviously you have to make your accounts with those different stores and everything. And then there's like an approval process, but you just have to build it with Expo in the right way using a terminal command. I'll have to look up what are the exact terminal commands for Expo to do that.
While you're looking that up, I can touch on this a little bit. I first heard about Bolt back in January last year, and the reason why I chose Bolt over anything else, including Lovable or some of the other competitors, was because they were the first to actually bring in their Expo connection. And Expo's, it uses React Native, so make sure that you're building your app from the start in React Native. And basically it creates a QR code. You can then download the Expo Go app on your phone, scan that, And that's how you can test out your app on your phone. And then, Expo uses, it's called EAS, Expo Application Services. And basically, as Tyler's looking up right now, there are those export. I think what you need to do for iOS, for example, here we go. Thank you, Tyler.
It doesn't really include, when I hit enter in my comment, it doesn't include the spacing. This EAS build -- platform. So you're indicating which platform, space, Android. That would be one line. And now you've built it for Android. You hit enter. Then the other one is the EAS build platform iOS.
And then the Apple developer account and whatever the Android account would be for doing that.
I will say too, so I plan to release some apps on mobile, and I did a lot of research beforehand, and I had already started building with a web app that was not with Expo, and then I was like, oh shoot, do I have to rebuild this with Expo? And what I found is that there are some other options, such as wrappers. So there's one wrapper called Capacitor, and there's another one called Cordova. I'll just put those names in the chat as well. Capacitor and Cordova. So if you have a web app that is not React Native, it's React Web, then it basically takes your project and wraps it in a native format so that now it can be built for iOS and Android. And it's a little bit more of a complicated process, so you'll have to do some research. But just know that if you did not build with Expo, there are still potentially options that you could wrap your app and still publish to the iOS and app stores.
Do we have any success stories of Bolt projects using Capacitor?
We're about to. It's going to be me.
Aye.
So close.
Tyler.
They work remarkably well. I've used apps that use them before, and sometimes it's really indistinguishable.
Nice.
Okay, here's a good one. I have a complex multi-tenant app using Stripe and Supabase. I've launched testing. Is it worth getting a developer to go through my security code for security and performance before fully going live? Good question. I think the answer is depends on your level of experience. Obviously, the first starting point is the security scan that we offer. So when you've got the publish button, when you click publish on the top right, drops down, it'll do a security scan. That's your database security scan that it'll do. It's also worth prompting for a front-end security scan. So depending how big your code base is, if it's thousands and thousands and thousands of line of code, maybe you're going to do file by, or you'll do like folder by folder, and you'd be like, look through all the files in this folder, see if there are any like front-end security issues that it's causing, and then you can move through it. And so just getting the agent to look things over, you've now got the back-end security scan, the front-end tests by asking the agent, and they're a really good starting point. That may expose something. And then I guess it depends on what sort of data, if it's medical data or something really personal, then maybe it is worth getting a developer to have a look. There's probably hackers that you can find out there that you might pay, hey, do your best to like hack and find data from like out of my account. That could be worth trying as well.
Yeah, definitely couldn't hurt. If you're at all concerned about security, you plan to do marketing towards your app, and you plan to make lots of money with it, then you're having a lot of people's data on the line. So it's definitely worth that. And Bolt has already done so much of the heavy lifting for you and saved you so much money that now it's, I think that's a great idea if that's something that you feel good about.
Yeah. And we partner with Contra for Bolt specific developers. If you do want to have someone kind of take a look of your code before you deploy it, contra.com/Bolt, I think, is where you can find those developers. So
yes.
Great, guys. We're just about on time. We've got some good feedback here. So, it's saved my life many times where we managed to create an app for capturing emergencies and dispatching of emergencies. That's incredible. The sky's the limit. Good night from South Africa. Thank you so much for joining us and for the feedback. I can see there's some other really good feedback that we've got here in the chat. Is there anything else, Donald, Tyler, Erica, that you'd like to touch on or say to our community?
Thanks for using Bolt.
Yeah, we love seeing some of the crazy projects that you guys build. We get to dive into some of the projects, and it's like, wow, this is really interesting.
The sky is truly the limit.
People build all kinds of stuff with Bolt, so it's
Amazing.
pretty inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. And so with that, we'll wrap this up. Thanks again for joining us, guys. We hope you have a wonderful start to the year. It's a super exciting year. I have no idea what's going to happen in 2026. I don't think any of us do, but the models are going to get better and better. That's for sure. Building is going to become easier and easier, and launching your dreams should hopefully the barriers to entry are lower than ever before. So thanks for joining us again. We look forward to seeing what you build. If you've built something that you're really proud of, please reach out to the team, share it with us. And thanks again, guys.
Lots of love in the chat. Love you guys. Happy New Year, everybody.